Okay, so how many of you guys have ever like thought about like that our brain subconsciously like evaluates your surroundings? You guys like ever thought of that? Anyone like think about that kind of stuff? No? You're just me, I'm a nerd. So there's this theory called Bayes' cognitive theory. And so this is what it looks like. It's a math problem. And Bayes, he was like this, he was a mathematician. He invented this theory basically. So like it's this idea of something being like, so you're given evidence or information, and so you create a hypothesis based off that information, and you're constantly changing it based on the information you encounter. According to Colombo and Hartman, the British Journal for Philosophy of Science, 2017, it's basically this idea where, like I said, you are encountering information and you're evaluating your hypothesis based off of it, and it's not used just for your mind, like I'm going to talk about today, but also just in general, in any kind of, like in this situation, you just plug in the math numbers. And I forgot to mention what I was going to be talking about today, so I'm going to be talking about what it is right now we're talking about. I'm going to be talking about how our brain implements it, and then what the implications are of this idea and how it affects our understanding of the brain. So now we're going to talk about what it is, the Bayesian brain. So Bayesian brain is a term that refers to the ability of the nervous system. So basically, our nervous system is influenced by our brain, right? Subconsciously, it's telling us, like, I digest your food you eat this morning, and you're like, keep breathing, don't pass out, that kind of stuff, right? But also, it's in control of your, your other subconscious systems, like your somatic system and stuff like that, like to make you like have adrenaline and be nervous, like I am right now. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So your brain it's being given all this information that it reacts to it. So like, yeah, so that's what it does. It reacts to the information it's given. But the thing is, your brain is, it's like you have eyes, right, ears, so we have senses, that's how we get information. But our brain doesn't, it doesn't see the world exactly as it is, right? There's some error on our part, right? Because we're human, we're not perfect. And so our brain creates these probabilities of what it's seeing, and it kind of like fills in the blanks that we don't know, right? So it kind of like completes the picture in a sense. Kind of like how you guys know, like your eyes like see upside down and like it flips around in your brain. You guys know that? And so stuff like that. So so your brain is doing this calculation in theory to basically limit the chance of error in its function, right? Because you don't want to do something that ends up hurting you or harming itself, right? Stuff like that. According to it's Harangian, scientificamerican.com. I'm gonna skip that one. I forgot that one. So this is basically what Bayesian brain theory is, and this is kind of my bad. So according to Ogoro and Kapchuk, Payne 2018, this not only applies to like thinking and stuff like that, but it applies to like our physical, like our muscular skeletal system as well. So when people get injured, according to this theory, it's not that you feel pain because there's something like physically wrong with you. It's because your brain decides that based on prior experience and the way, like what you've seen happen to other people, things like that, it creates this feeling basically of being in pain, stuff like that, so that way it protects itself from actually hurting itself. Like, say you're carrying something really heavy and your arm hurts. It may not be that your arm is actually injured, but your body's telling yourself like, wow, it's painful, I should stop doing whatever I'm doing so I don't actually tear a muscle or something like that. So so then our next topic is this is a cool little picture I thought about how it's kind of like it helps explain the predictive coding, right? So it's like all the information and just like the different ways, how it's basically like a cycle. It just continues to predict, and then if there's, it always goes for the smallest error percentage basically in its prediction. And then so, that's my last According to it's Keosu et al. So it's a group of people talking about how like implications of this and like how it affects different kinds of people. So like people with schizophrenia, they can have hallucinations like auditory and visual hallucinations. And so according to this theory, hallucinations occur when basically the things that you know like override things that you actually see, right? And so your brain is basically like, it's telling you that these things are actually there and they really aren't. And so basically there's an error in that, in your predictive ability basically of your brain to function. Yeah, so so today I talked about what Bayesian cognitive theory is, how it affects our brain and how it is actually used, and the implications of it. I think a really interesting thing to read is there's an article, the Ngoro and Kapchuk article, basically talk about like placebo effect and how it affects our bodies and those kinds of things. Really interesting article you guys can find on the internet. It's free. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you.